You are listening to the audio portion of the QB Power Hour webinar series. The QB Power Hour is a free biweekly webinar series for accounting professionals presented by Michelle Long and Dan DeLong, who are very passionate about the industry, QuickBooks, and apps that integrate with QuickBooks. You can find out all the details about the webinar series at qbpowerhour.com. So without further ado, here's Michelle and Dan.
Today, the QB Power Hour is going to be what's in store for the Commerce tab. And we have a couple folks from Commerce to talk a little bit about what's going on, but let's go through some introductions. Michelle?
Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. My name is Michelle Long, CPA with an MBA in entrepreneurship, owner of Blog for Success, speaker for Intuit for a long time now, author of 5 different tech months out on Amazon. And I'm really happy. If you look at the Facebook group, there is approaching 15,000 members now. So if you haven't joined that yet, there's the link. We'd love to have you join it. Those of you that are going to Scaling New Heights, I hope you can join us. Heather and I are co-presenting a session on Sunday, right at noon, one of the first breakout sessions, and the number one breakout session so far on Chat GPT and AI. So come on by and join us for that. I'm really excited about that. So Dan, go ahead.
All right. I'm Dan DeLong, owner of Danwick. Worked at Intuit nearly 18 years, co-hosting today, as well as the co-hosting duties over at School of Bookkeeping. We do a workshop Wednesday, but not tomorrow because I'll be on a ship somewhere. Doing the tech editing for the QBO for Dummies series as well. And Kat and Keith, I'll toss it over to you. Let you introduce yourself.
My name's Keith, product manager here at Intuit. Been working on the commerce features over the last year or so. And doesn't look like it, but I'm in Mountain View today in the office. Just don't have that exciting of a background or any exciting stories or locations like you, Dan. But yeah, I'll pass it over to Kat.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. Well, I was there last week. So look, lovely to be on this. And Dan, we have a good story as to why we're here. For everyone, my name is Kat. That's a good photo. That's a good haircut from a couple of years ago on there. I'm a product manager looking after commerce. So we'll be talking today, as Keith said, what we've been working on for the last year and also what's coming, because I know that there's quite a lot of excitement with inventory as well. So there you go. And for those of you, if I do look like the room is a bit dark, I am based in Sydney in Australia and it's 2 a.m. for me. So I'm ready to go, everyone.
That speaks to your commitment to what's going on here, because to get up at 2 a.m. to be ready for Zoom ready, you got to be ready for that. It's pretty challenging. So a little bit about the details of the QB Power Hour. If you've just joined us, it's every other Tuesday at 12 Eastern, whatever time of the world that happens to be, wherever else in the world you are. The upcoming webinars aren't eligible for CPE, but always check the website for the upcoming events. We also have other events for other folks that we work with available there on the website. If you need PDFs of the slides or recordings of podcasts or any other resources we have, that's an area on our website, qbpowerhour.com/resources. And then a little bit about today, the housekeeping. If you have specific questions, because we do have Keith and Kat, as well as some other folks helping us out with Q&A for questions about anything that we're talking about here today on commerce, please put those in the Q&A section, because as a registered attendee, your contact information is available to be able to follow up. So if we can't answer it live today, which sometimes they are a little bit challenging, and maybe they do ask for some follow-up, the Q&A would be better to do that rather than putting it in the chat comments, right? Because that just flows by and then maybe gets missed. So if you do have a specific question about anything that Kat or Keith can kind of talk about today, please put that in the Q&A. And then, of course, we have the webinar archive if you want to go back and look at prior comments before, or prior webinars, excuse me. Now, Aaron Wolfsteiner and Michelle and I, we had a discussion last November, I think, on a power hour about commerce. And we were a little befuddled, I guess was the best way to describe it, because you end up having two different experiences in the commerce tab, depending on your history of you or your client coming into QBO. And so we were having a little bit of a challenge trying to figure that out, even live on the power hour. So I did want to put that in there if you wanted to review the discussion, if you've got the slides and you want to be able to access that. Erin was a great person and we love her. And it was great to have her on. So if you want to take a look at that discussion, that'd be awesome. And it was interesting because that was where we did that in November. And then we went right to QB Connect right after that. And so I was a little confused as to what's in store, what's the future of commerce. And there was an event at QB Connect and it was cold and we were huddled by the heaters that they put on the outside. And I just happened to be standing next to Kat and she was talking about what she does for Intuit. And I was just explaining the experience that we had just had with Aaron Shell on the power hour. And I said I was a little underwhelmed, right? About what it does as of today. And she challenged me, give me 20 minutes at the booth and I'll show you what's coming. And then we can go from there. And here we are 7 months later, we're back on talking about commerce. So I appreciate Kat for coming on and doing this today. So our session agenda today is what is commerce and what's live as of today. And since Kat is literally a day in the future, she's going to be telling us as much as she can about what is coming in the future. We do want to be a little sensitive, like we can't necessarily talk about dates and features and those types of things, but we can give a general idea as to what is coming in the future as much as we can say. Kat?
Yeah, that's right. So Keith was at QuickBooks Connect as well. We had such a wonderful time and I'm so glad that we did connect. Michelle, we were just laughing because I think that it was so cold. Standing outside, we were all huddling under heaters. And I don't normally say, give me 20 minutes. But you did. And we had a really good discussion. And I think Dan was like, come on and chat to everyone. And we generally feel like we've co-created a lot of this product with accountants. And so we think this is really important to talk about where we are and what we're doing as well. And also help answer questions on what is commerce? Where is commerce going? When we talk about commerce, right, Keith, because Keith and I are going to talk through some of this, we're a team that's very focused on product-based businesses. So it's anyone who's selling a thing, whether or not it's shoes or clothes or food or any product. And that's something that we're very focused on helping product-based businesses run and grow in QBO.
Awesome. All right. So let's start off with a few poll questions. So we want to get an idea as to what experience our audience has here today. Do you serve product-based businesses? This could be a retailer, wholesaler, or manufacturers. Yes, no, or maybe I'd like to in the future, or maybe it's not. Maybe this question is not applicable.
I was just going to add, Kat, as you were talking, I do recall when I did meet you, because now I remember we had Appy Camp, and I do remember, I think it was that, but I can't remember, talking with you and or Keith or others or whatever. You were talking about how you reach out to the accountant, you reading your team and the Intuit team and everything. Yeah, I know it's not you by yourself, but it's a team of people. You all talking with us at Appy Camp, us, the ProAdvisors and stuff. And I remember you all asking us questions. What do we want? What do, we meaning us accounting professionals and our clients, what do we want? What do we want to see? What do we need? How do we want it to work? And all this stuff. Getting our feedback and our honest feedback. What do we like? What do we not like? What do we need it to do? And I remember you guys listening and taking all of these notes and taking the honest feedback. This sucks. We need more on the inventory side. We need it to do this. We want it to do that. And you guys are just like a sponge and just absorbing everything we would say. And even after AppyCam, that's where I was mentioning to you that I continued with the calls with the team, with the commerce team, about every month or so. Okay, we're working on this. Now, what do you think? Okay, we've done this. What do you think? Now, what do you want it to do? Does this work? Okay, we did this. Is this what you expected to see? And that's one of the things that I have always loved about Intuit is they really do listen and they really do try to build what we want and our clients want. And so I just love that iterative process. Listening to what we want and need, and then you all try to build it and develop it, and then getting the feedback again and just keep reiterating it to get it to be what we want. And so I do love the fact that you incorporate the accounting professionals and the ProAdvisors in the process of the development. Because it seems like so many times all we see and hear in social media and everything is the complaints and all that stuff. But the reality is Intuit is really working hard to develop what we want and need. And I think it's really showing in the commerce and what you guys have done so far. So thank you guys for listening. And to those people that are listening, keep sending in that feedback and putting in what you guys want and everything. But it's got to be constructive, not just this piece doesn't work, it sucks. Tell them what you want it to do. Okay, if it sucks, why does it suck? What should it do? What do you want it to do? Give that feedback. So anyway.
So you know what, Michelle? It might have been Joe at AppyCam. I'm just thinking because I think he was there and I know loved it. I think that Keith can speak to it as well. We do have a commerce accounting council. We do meet with testing with accountants actually weekly for feedback, and it really matters. And I think it also comes down to how Intuit designs for the light and the way in which we go broad, we go narrow, we get feedback. It's super critical. I'm just looking at the poll here. Yeah. So what's awesome is that, yes, more than half of everyone is starting a product-based business. Then this is the session for you. If you're not, please hang on because you might go, I would like to. And it might be a way to expand your business as well, because we know that it is sometimes really tough to work with a lot of the online commerce data. And we're working really hard to automate it and take the work out of it. Okay, this is super helpful for us. Do you want to do the second poll? Dan, this is the second question. We're warming everyone up.
I am trying. Oh, because I'm sharing, I couldn't launch a second question. That's why. There we go. Okay. So now we're asking the next question. What's the biggest challenge? So those that are currently supporting product-based businesses, what do you find that their biggest challenge is? And it could be just anything like driving sales. That's always a concern. Like, how do I get people to go to my website to buy these products? Or is it even just something from managing the inventory or maintaining the finances and account? That sort of thing. While we're waiting for the answers to flow in. So Kat, how long have you been working with commerce or QB commerce? What do we call it these days?
We're still calling it commerce. So Kate and I both came from the TradeGecko acquisition. My first relationship with commerce was probably in 2015, 2016, doing some consultancy work for the business. And then we were acquired coming up to 2.5, almost 3 years ago. That's right, Keith. Keith, you were there. You were there either around the same time as me, or maybe even a bit earlier.
Yeah, around 2017, I think. So yeah. So been in the space since 2017.
Yeah. We love it. Isn't it funny that you can get a passion in an area? We genuinely love it.
Awesome. Okay, so let's go ahead and looks like the results here are just right across the board. So there's not like one clear winner. Some of the poll questions that we have. So there's a lot to be concerned about is what the takeaway here is.
So we have to do it all, I think, is the answer.
Yeah.
I think that's the,
And the other great thing is these clients, they not only need our help, but they recognize they need our help. So it's like an easy sell, I think, these types of clients. They recognize that they need our help because of all of these different things. So I think it's a great area for accounting professionals to get into.
Indeed. And
Do you-
I think it's nice to see it because your clients do want growth. At least they are growing. They probably are struggling with growing a team. I am happy to see that inventory and orders and shipping is there. So that's good. We'll cover that. And also finances, which is very important. And for the something else, you let us know.
yeah, put that you can put in the chat or in the Q&A. Kat, do you want me to stop sharing so that you can?
Yeah, absolutely.
you
And
can drive here.
I'll share my screen. So,
Perfect. A little bit of we need some hold music or something while we're moving things around.
Can you see that okay?
Yep.
And I can still see all of you. So this is kind of cool. So what we're going to do is it's actually a really big demo for everyone. We're going to talk through what actually is there with commerce and what's live today. So if you go into QuickBooks Online, in the Commerce tab, we'll show you what's available in all of the plans. And then we'll also talk about what's coming. And as we go, like Keith will jump in and add anything that I miss because it's 2 a.m. for me and Keith understands all of it. And if we've got questions as we go, we can also pause and talk about it too. Okay, so let's start. So what's live in commerce? Look, I'm going to show you, we've been very focused on helping online retailers automate their commerce accounting. So that's bringing in their payouts into QuickBooks Online. We've also got orders coming in. They're not posting at the moment. I know, Michelle, that's what you talked about in the last session, but they will be in time when we look at what's coming. And we also talk about the types of trends and insights that we have there. What's coming, which I'm really glad on the poll was super important, is what will happen on that same commerce tab is you won't just import payouts, you'll import inventory. That's why there's a question about what happens on commerce. It just gets bigger and brings in more things. You'll be able to bring in your costs and get them started for cost of goods sold, which we know is so critical for profitability. We're reimagining how you view products and services, and we're introducing variant for the first time ever, which is super cool. And then I'll show you some really quick workflows to replenish stock, adjust quantity, perform an inventory count, and also make sure that obviously inventory accounting is accurate, because without that, it doesn't work. Okay. So let's start with what is live today. So if you jump into commerce, what you'll be able to do is seamlessly connect your online sales channels. So today we support Amazon, eBay, and Shopify, and it's super quick and easy. It's a couple of steps, and you'll be able to see your income and expenses all in the one spot. So I'm actually just going to click through and show you what's there. And this is something that you can help your clients with. And we're also finding that a lot of your clients are able to just do it in a few clicks as well. So here on the left nav, you can see that we're under commerce, and you can see the page that talks about how to connect your sales channels. What you'll be able to do, and this account is for Sophia. She sells sneakers. So you'll see that as we go through. She'll be able to connect to a channel. And here it's 3 simple steps. So to choose, configure, and connect. And Sophia will click on Shopify. That's what we're going to demo for the day. She'll be able to click next. and connect her Shopify account, where she'll be able to bring in her data. We check for consent. This is to make sure that Sophia, your clients, understand what they're bringing in and why. And then all you do is you add in the account. So here it's Sophia Sneakers, press connect. It goes straight through to what's called authorization. And this would happen for Shopify, eBay, and Amazon. Pop in your email. It connects to the channel. All done. And then we're ready to now set up. So I'm just going to pass to Keith on this. This is something we've recently added in there, where if you're bringing in payout, Keith, do you want to talk about the options here?
Yeah. We allow customers to have two options. And what we heard from the accountant community is that we want to have this step of review and add before anything is posted to the books. So what this means is, let's say you're connecting, you bring in 12 months of your historical data. You can choose to review and add. And that means that every transaction you have to go through and add these transactions before they're posted. Or we allow you to add automatically. So if you're confident with the connector, you know where it's going to be posting to, and you are ensuring that you're not duplicating any historical data that might have already been recorded, we've allowed customers to now choose this add automatically. And that will post all the transactions as soon as you've connected. You'll then have all these transactions posted to your books.
And we're getting quite a good response from it as well. We're finding that this is what customers or clients are choosing. So let's add it in for Sophia today. Let's add it in. The next bit is just making sure that you're using the right accounts to get paid and pay fees. And a lot of feedback to make sure we were doing that appropriately. And I'll show you the chart of accounts in a little bit. So we're holding tight for Sophia. We're getting ready. Shopify is now connected and the data is being imported. And I saw a comment that we've got captions on. So I hope that my Australian accent is okay. Let me know and I can slow down.
So far, it is translating perfectly.
Good. So you now in the comments overview, we've connected. You'll get guidance on how to keep setting up for Sophia. What you can also do now is check the chart of accounts. We've had great input from accountants on this. So you can see, I don't know, Keith, if you just want to talk through this.
Yeah. So these are the various types of accounts that get created. So upon connecting, you'll see that there's splitting out of selling fees, discount, shipping income, other adjustments, reserve balance. And so each of these channels, and Amazon has a much bigger list of various types of fees that you can have. These are the accounts that we've created and mapped to. And then, of course, if you have existing accounts that you prefer to use or already have set up, you can hit that pencil icon and change to a different account that's already been created. But by default, these are created for any of the connections. So if you connect Shopify, you'll have these accounts. If you connect Amazon or eBay, you'll have the same accounts plus or minus a few that are specific to those channels.
And these will be consistent, like across the different sales channels. So that's one of the things that's nice about having it a standard connector to these sales channels is once you set up one, you know that feeling to go through and set up another one. And you were mentioning, or I saw in the chat, what about Etsy or what about these other sales channels? Can you speak to? I'm probably stealing a little bit of the what's coming thunder, but what is that right now? Those three core ones, are they learn? You're using those at, what was the strategy of those three being the first? I know Amazon, and I guess they run the spectrum of how that information flows into accounting data, right? Amazon is like once every 2 weeks, and then Shopify is pretty regularly, and eBay is more of a marketplace type of thing. Is that kind of like the idea of why those three to begin with?
Those two were really based off of the size and the demand for them. So those were the top three that were previously requested and didn't exist. So we looked at what was currently existing in the ecosystem of first-party built connections into QuickBooks and what was most demanded. And then those three all tell a story together. There's a lot of overlap with product-based businesses who sell on all three of those channels versus we could have gone and built WooCommerce and Wix. But if you sell on Shopify, you don't have then a Wix site. So it's also trying to look at what made sense together. Etsy is another one that's come up a lot. There's an older Etsy integration that was built a couple of years ago. It's also trying to understand what else existed already and then what we'd have to migrate over. A little bit of context in the accounts. So we set them up in this parent-child relationship. So we have, for all of these accounts, there is a parent account. So if you're looking at Amazon sales, there is a higher level parent that's just called channel sales. And then the child is Amazon or Shopify. And so the idea is we try to be as agnostic to the channel as we can be, meaning that for all of the channels, you'll have the same set of accounts. There might be 2 or 3 more types of fees with Amazon. You might have advertising, fulfillment, warehousing that don't exist in Shopify. So there might be additional. That's the idea, is that it's agnostic to the channel, so that as we start to grow to other channels and we add Etsy or Walmart or whatever the next marketplace is that people decide to sell on, this can scale. So you're basically just switching out the name and adding on a new channel and bringing in the data the exact same way, following the same pattern.
Okay, so that's the first bit. We've got a lot of content, so we're gonna speed up a little bit. So that's how you get connected. That's how you work out your chartered account. Other things that are live today are sales orders coming in. At this point in time, they're not posting. As we go into the future, they will be. If you want them in a daily transaction and buy every order. But let me just show you what it looks like. So here under commerce, there's an orders tab where you'll see sales orders. What you'll be able to see here is the orders that have come in across channels. So for Shopify and Amazon in this instance, but also eBay, the sales total. Over time, you'll see the status of the order, payment and fulfillment as well. So I'm just going to click through here and show you. If I was to filter by these, they've got different options of looking at channels and order status and payment and fulfillment. I'm just going to look at a return here for Sophie and just apply that. And you'll be able to see here, you can see everything in real time as it comes in. I'm just going to open this sales order for Amazon here. Over time, you'll be able to see customer details on the sales order. That bit is not live today, but what you can see today is the actual individual products coming in and the sales order. And over time, you'll also be able to link to other transactions across QuickBooks Online, which we think is really important. The next bit is matching payouts with bank deposits. He touched on it at the beginning that you can automate this. If you go through the onboarding or you turn it on, you can actually just say auto and it's done for you. But if you do want to go through and individually make sure that everything's recorded, what happens is the payouts come in here under the payouts under commerce. You can see all of the payouts here as they come in. And you mentioned it, Dan, the payouts come at, you can choose different frequencies and they come at different frequencies across the channels. If you click on them, you can actually see that payouts give you a breakdown of sales refunds and expenses, and all of those link through to the appropriate transactions. So this one here just links through to an expense where you can see that all of those are broken out for the selling fees, fulfillment, sales tax and adjustment. What we've done is we've made sure that all of that is visible in Journal. So you can see it across all the accounts there. So it's completely transparent and visible. When it comes to matching transactions from payouts, so if you've auto added them, they'll go through, but if your client or you would like to match them, you can see here is an example of an Amazon deposit. So you just be able to open that up. It's just every other transaction for matching. You can have a look at the deposit here, which has come in from Amazon, this particular amount of just over $4,000, and it's come in. What you can also do is then, once you've confirmed it, and it's done. So again, you've got to
speak a little bit. There's a couple of questions coming in, Kat, about like the cost of this, right? Can you speak to the different levels of QuickBooks Online and what's included with regards to commerce and sales channel connection?
Beautiful. So today, commerce accounting is available on all SKUs, so all plans. The difference is the amount of channels you connect for what you're seeing. You can connect one channel on Simple Start, and it's included within that plan, up to 3 for Essentials, and it's unlimited on Plus and Advanced. When I show you what's coming, inventory is available on Plus and Advanced. That's where it's today. So great. That's also what's super cool about it. It's included in the plan.
And Kat, could you talk about what is the difference between Amazon in the sense of when you connect it under the commerce tab versus under the banking tab? Because you can connect it in both places.
I can cover that one.
Okay.
There's 2 ways. There's Amazon Business and then there's Amazon Seller. So when you see Amazon Business in the banking tab under app transactions, that's if you're purchasing off Amazon. So you buy your supplies and pen and paper. What we're talking around is when you're a seller on Amazon, which is also visible in that app transaction tab next to Amazon Business, but will also exist inside the commerce tab. So it's small businesses that are selling you the pen and paper on Amazon.
Okay, on to reports.
Thank you.
So we know where you can get it, and you know the difference. Once you've got it connected, you'll also see that all of that data beautifully goes through to the P&L or the profit and loss. So you can see here the breakout of each of the channels and also on the balance sheet as well. Like, I think this is why we've designed and built this. We want to make sure that commerce accounting is accurate for online retailers. Okay. And then finally, what's also live is some really great insights. I know I saw, Michelle, you had feedback. I watched the recording on net revenue. So we'll talk about, we'll take that. Keith, it was around the accuracy of the definition if COGS isn't included. So here on the overview page, you've got the revenue coming in for the channels. Your clients and you will be able to filter that by different time periods. So I've just clicked on that for quarters. The orders here, you can see the differences between the channels. So you can see how the business is performing, and then also top selling products that have come through, which we actually find is super valuable for your clients and also for you to just get a pulse on the business. So that's what's live. I'm now going to show you what's coming. And I'm looking at the time, so I'm going to hop, skip, and a jump through this. I really have got quite a lot. So this is coming soon. If you think of what you've just done, we've just connected the sales channel, and you don't have to do anything else other than press one extra button and I'll show you. You'll be able to bring in your inventory and also products and variants. So if you remember, I showed you the overview. All you would do in this instance for Sophia's sneakers is continue to connect the channel. And there is one option here of if you would like to sync inventory across those sales channels. So this shows how QBO or QuickBooks Online would be the place that you could start managing your inventory and syncing across those sales channels in real time. And all you need to do when you're setting it up is say yes to sync. And that's it. That's basically the addition for getting started across the channels. And Dan, your question of what happens on the commerce tab, it just expands. Now, I know, Michelle, you had a question when I watched the webinar from September about what else is missing. Obviously, not just inventory and quantity, but also cost. So when you connect your sales channel, what is coming soon is you'll be able to either import your costs if you have them set up, say in Shopify, because Shopify does manage costs, or you can add them in. So here, everywhere we've got guidance and education on what is a cost, or as we go through different things, what is a product, what is a variant, so that we're helping to educate everyone on it and why it's so critical. There's an experience where if you haven't imported them and you actually need to manually add them in, you'll be able to do it in a bulk way. So you'll see here we've got products. So here's my urban suede high top sneaker. And I can add Sophia's costs here. And for the first time ever, we'll also have variants, which is super cool. And if there is a different in cost between a variant, you can do it here because we know how important tracking COGS is. Job's done. Okay, on to the next one. Looking at that clock. This is really cool as well. We'll have a reimagined view of product and services. So this is where you'll have all of your stock levels and basically your entire catalog. So this is what we're testing at the moment and what we're looking at. So you can see here, you've got Sophia's sneakers with the products and services. Again, you've got all of the sneakers that she's selling here. So you can see the image of them, the product name. You'll be able to get visibility on quantity on hand, which we know is very important. The sales channels that the data is connected to, the type of product. You can track inventory, non-inventory if it's still a product, a service, the category that the product is sitting in, which we know is really critical for reporting, the SKU, the price, the cost. I'm just going to show you one thing that will be coming soon is what we're calling inventory stages. So it's not just having quantity on hand, but it's also what's committed and available, and also available on purchase order as well, which is super cool to get that full view of inventory. And then I'll just show you in here, when you have a look at your products, you'll also be able to see all of the variants as well. And we're still experimenting. We've got some nice ways in which you can click in and have a look at the products overall, get a bird's eye view on what variants are available, how you're going with inventory. So across quantity on hand, committed, available, and on purchase order. And then also the same as within the variant. You can again see all the details there as well.
Now, Kat, what you're showing here is the intention is that this is actually residing inside of QuickBooks Online, right? Or is it still in the Commerce tab or somewhere else?
So
that's what I think is the
question.
Yeah, that's what I think it's a challenge. Is that, and it's why it's important that a lot of people understand this, that, hey, this could be the new products and service tab inside of QuickBooks, and maybe you didn't even realize why it changed, right?
100%. So this is what's coming soon with the new products and services tab in QuickBooks Online. Because if you want to manage your inventory, you need to also manage your products. And this is quite exciting for us. It's truly being reimagined, and it's really exciting.
I was just wondering that too. So, Kat, will we be able to do bundles in here? If we wanted to bundle, buy these 2 shoes and get this free or anything like that, will we be able to do bundle in here or group?
Yes. It'll become basic.
Yay.
Yeah. It'll be basic to start, but yes, there are bundles in there.
And inventory adjustments or quantity adjustments will be available as well?
Yeah, I'm about to show you that as well. Shall I show you a couple of adjustments?
Please. Yes.
Yeah, we're actually getting excited. This is music to our ears. Okay. Let me show you a couple of workflows here. So this is if you've got low stock. And this happens a lot, right? It's making sure that your client in this instance, Sophia doesn't run out of stock and that she can reorder. And also create a purchase order so that we've got everything buttoned up and all the transactions are linked. So same page, you're on products and services. All Sophia needs to do is click on, see here, there are 4 items that are out of stock. Simple filter. It filters everything for us. And we will have a way to do bulk reordering. So you just click on them and it will take you through to a purchase order with those items that we've already added, where you can confirm the quantity that you want. And that's it. Super easy way to see where Sophia might be out of stock and reordering. If there's an adjustment, so I love these. Let's just do a super quick adjustment. Say if there's been a damaged good and we need to just make sure that everything's accurate. So again, we're back on products and services. What we're going to do is just click on these 4 green running shoes here. And in this bulk bar, we're just going to adjust the quantity, Michelle. So if I just adjust that quantity, again, it'll bring up a stock adjustment. So super quick. We'll be able to adjust the quantity here so you can see what was on hand, the new quantity and the change. Like really easy. And you can also give a reason for it. In this instance, it was damaged and with inventory shrinkage. A tip for everyone listening, when we're testing this with product-based businesses, they're sometimes really excited that they've got different accounts to put this in. So it's super cool for traceability and also just making business decisions. That's what we've been.
What is the adjustment reason? Like, where does that go? Is it like in the memo, or what is the reason for the reason?
Kate, do you want to go through the account?
Yeah. So there's 2 things. There's one, which is that reason that you saw on the left side, and then that will have mapping to an account. So you'll actually see in your adjustment reason damaged, and then the inventory adjustment account is inventory shrinkage. So if you're looking at your chart of accounts, you'll see the inventory shrinkage. Those reasons on the damaged could just be used for reporting. So you might have everything going to inventory shrinkage, and then you might want to split out damaged versus theft. And it doesn't matter to you account level, but for other business reporting, you want to see what it went to. That's really the reasoning. It's more just a mapping of what account it goes to.
And Keith, is there a way to do a value adjustment as opposed to a quantity adjustment, where you're writing down the value of the inventory?
Yes.
So you can change the initial value, but here is just the quantity adjustment, which will then use the FIFO costing valuation inside QBO to do that change. But you can certainly change the initial quantity. And that's what Kat showed at the start of what your initial value of that inventory is.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. I'll keep going. This is now in Australia, we call this a stock take. We're calling it an inventory count. So just imagine, rather than an adjustment of 2 or 3 items, your client is basically doing a count of their entire stock. And sometimes this might happen at the end of financial year. Sometimes this might happen every quarter. When we've spoken to businesses, some businesses are doing this every week just to make sure that they've got everything in. And so this is also something that hasn't existed before. We're calling it an inventory count, where you would add in an inventory count. I'm not going to do it for all of Sophia's products. I'm just going to show you an example of just these Green Hill runners, but you could do your entire product and variant list, add it to an inventory count and start counting. And so think of this as like a really big adjustment where you confirm the product, the variant, the SKU, the quantity on hand, and the new quantity with a change to be recorded. What's great about this is often an inventory count takes multiple days. So you can save it and come back to it after overnight. And if you're still selling on your sales channels, you'll be notified if those product quantities have actually changed, so you can adjust it. Once that's saved and finalized, you've always got a history of stock adjustments as well, so that you've got a record of those changes. The final bit is making sure that the inventory accounting is accurate. So you saw what's already live with payouts coming through, with everything being batched in and added to the books there. This just adds one more thing, which is income coming in from invoices and orders. So back on the orders page, we will have coming soon, individual sales orders coming in, linking through to invoices, going through into the books with transactions, and providing that visibility across all of the reports as well, including cost of goods sold. That's it. I shouldn't say that's it. There is a large team working on this who are very passionate about providing a great experience for your clients and also accountants and bookkeepers to take the work out of it, make it easier to track inventory.
And we don't want to necessarily, we can't say a specific day, right? This will be available tomorrow, which is not the case. But when should accountants and bookkeepers and small business owners start to see some of these things that are coming?
Yeah, over the coming months. We've also got a colleague on this called Shane. So we are testing it and we are moving forward with it. When you do start to see this on your clients' accounts, because it does take time for it to move through, we also have a commerce education program, which Shane, who's on here, has been creating and working with accountants and clients on. So there's a large amount of education that will be self-serviceable through knowledge articles. We'll also be doing a lot of ProAdvisor training as well, so that everybody knows it's coming and feels confident as it's being switched on for clients.
And I just want to can I just add to that, Dan? At qbtrainingevents.com, Dan Boothie just did the e-commerce webinar, I don't know, a week or so ago, because I was helping with the Q&A and stuff. So those are available. So if you want to look to see when the next one's coming up, qbtrainingevents.com. So check that out if you guys want to register for that. Sorry, Kat, but thank you for mentioning that.
So the Dan Luthi session, so Shane, who's on here, and Kate is also on there for questions. The next ProAdvisor session, so that Dan Luthi session a couple of weeks ago was very focused on commerce accounting and what's live today.
Mm-hmm.
We'll be doing another one on the inventory and order management once we're beginning to roll out in soon. So if you are there, please join, because that will also kickstart a lot of the training and visibility on it. But I really hope this has given everyone a bit of a sneak peek into what's coming. If you have, I can see there's been so many questions and answers here. Is there?
I think the biggest, I think one of the things I wanted to talk about and unpack is like one of the things that I noticed when I was working at Intuit is that the size of a QuickBooks Online company file just continues to grow. And I think there's a mindset or an idea that, hey, you don't want to have all these extra transactions in your QuickBooks, especially when it comes dealing with the minutia of your ins and outs of your inventory. When you have all these different sales channels coming in, because that size is going to continue to grow, can you speak to that a little bit about that kind of, okay, I just want sales summaries, or I want to know the accounting side of things in my QuickBooks, and let's live in the online sales channel for inventory management.
Yeah. I mean, that's why we launched what we launched first. So the commerce accounting feature was exactly that. What's live today doesn't bring in inventory, doesn't bring in your customers or products for that purpose. And we saw a lot of feedback around this. And when we talked to accountants, they said, just give me the summary. So what we do today is exactly that, creating summary sales receipt, refund, expense transactions, but not getting into the detail of every single inventory item. And there is a need and a want for a product like that. Potentially it's a really high volume seller who is going to do this outside and do this in Amazon and uses a third party fulfillment anyways. But then as we launch and we learn, there's kind of two sides. I think there's a bookkeeper and an accountant view of what they want in QuickBooks. And then there's a business owner who they want to know what products they sold and what's selling the best. And COGS gets really important. And that's where we go into what we're launching as the next iteration, is bringing in that detail. Because without it, you lose functionality as much as you might have a cleaner, simpler QuickBooks file. The second thing I'll add is a lot of what this is also technology changes so that QBO can perform and run faster. So a lot of what we're doing when we rebuild these features is moving across to better technology so that it can support reports and they can run and your pages don't load slowly. So all of this is also to support that the longevity of QBO can continue to run and support a growing business that has high volume.
And can you also address, you were talking about where does the detail lie versus summary transactions and stuff. Can you address sales taxes and where does that detail lie in the third party app like Shopify versus, in that sales tax center? Because that's always a question that the ProAdvisors have.
Yeah, no, it's a really good question. And right now it only exists. Your sales tax by jurisdiction would be inside Shopify. You would have to pull reports from there. The only thing that we're recording is a total lump sum amount of what was collected. But this is what we're working on alongside the Shopify team and the sales tax team. So the QBO sales tax engine. There's a difference in how those two calculate sales tax. And so that in the past has created a difference with the calculation when you calculate in QBO versus Shopify or Amazon. So for the purposes of now, it's refer to the sales channel for your sales tax. We do bring that in, but we just put it to a sales tax liability account, not telling you the jurisdiction and each county and state.
Thank you.
The other question I had was regarding Shopify point of sale. So you touched on bringing in Shopify with the changes of QuickBooks point of sale going away and the transition to the partnership of Shopify point of sale. How did that play into this, or does it not yet?
It does support both Shopify as an online seller as well as point of sale. The one thing I would mention is what is live today is really built around payouts. So if you're taking in cash transactions in a store, those are going to have to be manually accounted for from the bank feed when you deposit the money. This is really looking at transactions that come through Shopify payments. So credit card, debit card, anything that comes through that, cash or anything someone wrote you a check, those are having to be manually accounted for. That's something that will be a follow-up. So you'll see that in the future that will start recording the cash and the manual transactions. But today it's just the ones that come through Shopify payments.
The good news is it's not a moot point. It's on the radar.
Yeah, for sure.
Great. Any other questions that we saw in the chat or the Q&A that we want to maybe speak to?
I was just kind of working through there. I just think it's really exciting, the fact that the cost is now going to be in there. As Kat mentioned, I was on a previous webinar and some of the previous discussions that we had with the commerce team and giving them feedback where, as Kat mentioned, you saw that one graph and it said net profit. And that's where I had brought up the point. It's not really net profit because you don't have the cost. This COGS is not in there. So how can you call it net profit? because there's no cost of the merchandise in there and stuff. And so getting the cogs in there, I think is huge. And I think that's very important. And so I'm really excited to be seeing that piece brought in because that's a big part of it. Having the cogs in there is huge. So I'm real excited to be getting that in there.
Is there any, because accountants and bookkeepers, they live in this world of yeah, but, right? Is there any yeah, buts with commerce right now, other than, okay, yeah, but I work with Squarespace or something like that. Obviously, this would not be a solution holistically. Where does it fit like right now when there are people that are in other sales channels that aren't currently supported yet, right? Like where do they try this for that one sales channel and have another solution for another sales channel? Where do they live today in this ever-changing world of commerce?
I think it's tough with those. This does follow a very similar pattern to a lot of third-party connectors that are out there. So if you're using look at the top third-party apps that do something similar, they follow a very similar pattern. So it's not to say that you couldn't if you have a Wix store and maybe you have Amazon. And so Wix is not supported. There are third-party apps that you can use that support Wix, and you would have this still for the main. And then the goal is for us to eventually grow and keep adding new sales channels. So I think that's part of it. The other one I would call it that we tend to see a lot of is the people just add this from the bank. They just go in and add their bank deposits as sales of product income. And so I find there's a lot of maybe accountants or bookkeepers that haven't previously worked with a lot of these sales channels, and they don't know it gets complex with Amazon of what the actual breakdown is. So our big competitor, I think, still is spreadsheets for inventory and COGS and doing journal entries, and just take a bank deposit and do a journal entry. I think that's the simplest way that we've seen and what our big competitor is.
And that's what Sandy just said in the chat area. She says, I did COGS with a JE change in monthly count. COGS on a perpetual seems way overcomplicated for the little guys. And I tend to agree with her on some of them that are smaller. I think she's right. If they're smaller, they don't necessarily have to account for inventory on a perpetual basis. Until they get to a certain size and volume, that may be true. Because if they're not dedicated to accounting for inventory properly and properly accounting for each item purchased and sold, they're just going to make a mess of things because they have to be dedicated to accounting for it properly or they're going to mess it all up. So I agree with her on that point.
Well, thank you. Thank you both for joining us today. We really appreciate having you coming on today. And we look forward to having you come on, like maybe in a few months to show all the things that were coming that are now live, or whatever that looks like in a few months as this journey continues with what is in store for commerce. Kat, any final thoughts that you have?
Look, this has been fun. Thank you so much for including us. And I'm just looking at all the Q&A and the comments. Thank you to everyone who's joined and listening. And if you catch this at a later date, thank you as well. We're here, we're listening, we want feedback. And it would be awesome if we could come back again in a few months' time.
All right. And just as an update, next QB Power Hour is actually the 4th of July. So we're not going to have a Power Hour on the 4th of July. So you gain your independence from attending the Power Hour. So next time you'll catch us on the flip side of that. So middle of July will be our next QB Power Hour, and we all hope you all have a great, safe holiday, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks for joining us.
We hope you enjoyed listening to the QB Power Hour podcast. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them in our Facebook group. You can find those resources and much more at qbpowerhour.com.